games and TV shows. I always like to give them a chance because there's a beautiful sweet spot, this nirvana that exists in horrible media where something is extremely entertaining. It's a delicate balancing act between boring, bad, and just irredeemable waste of time, and super stinker that puts a big smile on your face. Sometimes there's shows or movies that fucking tap dance on that line, that line of lunacy. And The Idol is one of those shows. I already made a video covering the first 2 episodes of this show, but long story short, you'd have more fun experiencing it. However, since you are and it's mainly because of The Weeknd. Within the first 2 episodes, The Weeknd establishes himself as one of the most characters to ever grace the television screen. He plays a goofball. He's basically a punk. And a sexual child. Basically, everything he does is psychotic to the point where everyone wants to have sex with him. And this leads to probably one of my favorite scenes in recent sandwich activities here, a little coitus, and he blindfolds her and tells her to get on the bed. He starts like barking orders at her like a drill sergeant from behind a chair. So he like gets behind a chair and he like pokes his head out and starts basically having phone sex with her in person. He's like, yeah, wet tongues on the pussy right now. And here comes my cock. The whole scene, that's the whole scene, place, poking out behind the chair, and then he delivers what I consider to be one of the most powerful lines in all of recorded history. He says, like we're about to enter the Twilight Zone here or something. And he delivers it like an android that's malfunctioning. It's so good. But anyway, there are no but on the whole, it's actually just a really revolting show that's really just there because the director's got an actual fetish that he wants to produce, I guess. Like, it doesn't really have Johnson, the main character, does have, like, an interesting story to tell, but he's as opposed to being like an interesting piece about the exploitation of like pop stars or something in the industry, it doesn't have any kind of criticism or critique of it. Instead, it's perfectly content just showcasing exploitation of a pop star for the sake of, like, I don't know, softcore porn. It's not delivering any kind of real message. Like, the show doesn't really have anything it wants to say. It's literally just a montage of sex scenes, while giving you tiny little breadcrumbs of what could have been an interesting premise if they just decided to actually focus on telling a good story. At some point, maybe they were, and then they just decided, nah, good stories are for dweebs, here's more tits, and that's the direction they went, because that's pretty much the final product of the show so far. Episode 4 just dropped. I've watched every episode. It's only a 5-episode long series, so it's a pretty low time investment, so I plan on finishing it. And I was going to wait for episode 5, but I can't hold my little wet tongue anymore here. I've got to talk about episodes 3 and 4, so I went over episode 3 on stream, and I just watched episode 4, so I'll show you the clips from episode 3 that I talked about, and then get into 4. I never finished that. The Idol. And The Idol is much worse than Velma. Well, I won't go that far. The Idol is very bad, too. What's The Idol about? It's literally... The show has one interesting character, and that's Lily Rose Depp's character. But for some reason, they refuse to focus on her. It's mainly The Weeknd being a fucking weirdo. Yeah, spread that tight little pussy for me. Yeah, now my cock's in your mouth. Oh, you're choking on it. Yeah, now you're choking on it. Like, that's half of the fucking show. And for some reason, the director very openly just has the show as just fetish material for himself. There is not a single goddamn scene in that show where Lily Rose Depp does not have a titty out. Even when she's in public, she still is wearing
basically a see-through top with no bra. Even in public in the show. There is no scene in that entire show where Lily Rose Depp has her tits covered. It is actually just softcore porn that the director and The Weeknd is a creepy weirdo. I'll get into it real quick. I was gonna do a video on the item. Episode 3 got so fucking bad. So, spoilers, I don't think anyone gives a fuck. No one's really watching the show. I don't think anyone cares. The Idol episode 3. It's once again fetish material. But at the very end, they're having like this dinner. And The Weeknd's there with his whole crew. Lily Rose Depp is there with a couple of her friends. And one of Lily Rose Depp's friends pitches that she should make a picture of cum on her face. He's like, oh, let's do what we need. Like, no, I kind of want to be taken seriously. Use this picture of cum. That's reality. It's behind it. When The Weeknd's like, I mean, it's like really deep. I won't bore you with most of the details. Eventually, it culminates with her revealing that her mother, who has died, was a person, and used to hit her with a hairbrush to keep her in line, and to keep her making hit songs. And she's in a bit of like a creative rut. So The Weeknd's like, so you think your mom beating you with that hairbrush? Showtime! And she's like, yeah, I think in some way. And she's fucking crying her eyes out. And he's like, you think it was worth it because the songs were so good? And she's like, yeah, well, I guess. So then he goes, I shit you not. So she goes and gets the hairbrush, and the episode ends with him beating the fuck out of her. She's crying. She eventually says thanks. It's diabolical. He turns the trauma into like a sexual fetish thing for himself and convinces her that it's good for her artistic process. Was he beating her or was it sexual? Sexual for him, not so much for her. She was legitimately crying her fucking eyes out, screaming and wailing. Because he even says like, get ready, I'm going to hurt you. And then just starts beating her with the hairbrush, making her relive the childhood trauma that her mom put her through. But for him, it's like a sexual thing. It seems, because he's just a fucking weirdo. No, it's crazy. Someone put this in the chat, and I think this is an interesting talking point. Do you think that's some Illuminati shit and he's trying to tell people that's what they do? The whole message of the show, I believe, at one point was supposed to be the mistreatment of idols in Hollywood, and like these parasites that prey on them and fuck them up. Like, I think that's the talking point it wanted to deliver. But during production, they fired the original visionary behind it, and The Weeknd took over. It wasn't just The Weeknd. They replaced her. They then went in a different direction. I think they said they didn't want it to be too much of a female perspective or something. I can't quite remember the quote. And they took that message, and they turned it into, here's just actual softcore porn and fetish shit, and that's it. Because there's no deeper message. There isn't. He's a cult leader, and it's literally only the sexual aspects of the cult, and that's it. There's no bigger stuff. It's actually just a softcore porn production that the director themselves to jerk off to. But there are moments that are fun bad. Like I said in my first video about it, there are moments in that show that are fun bad. Everything The Weeknd says and does is unintentionally the most unhinged comedy ever. For example, in episode 3, he's picking out her clothes. He's supposed to be like controlling every aspect of her life because he's a manipulative cult leader, sex savant. He's picking out her clothes. And there's a guy, one of the workers there, is showing some clothes and he's like, this would look pretty good if you want to try this. The Weeknd goes up to him, he's like, look at her again. Fucking look at her again. Fucking look at her again. I saw you. If you fucking look at her again, I'll drag your ass down Rodeo Drive and fucking curb stomp you. Look at her again. And like that's his energy. But it doesn't work well because it's so over the top goofy. Like absurdly goofy.